when we highlight happenings round about JA. Until then, I'm Monique Whitfield with studio engineer Joel Samuels. Walk good. A production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
Nationwide 90 FM, continuing the tradition of fair, fearless, and factual reporting. You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is...
It's 5 minutes after 9.
You're inside the Consumer Hour with Nora Gay Banton.
Good morning to you. It is Monday, June 30, 2025. It's the final day of the month of June for this year, 2025. We're alive and well, and for that we give God thanks. Good morning to you. If you're listening on the 90 FM band, 90.3, 90.5, 90.7, and 90.9. Thank you so much for joining us on your radio. We appreciate your company there. If you're listening and watching on our YouTube channel, good morning to you. The channel is Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. That's Nationwide 90 FM LIVE with a number 2 beside that. Go on over there and subscribe if you haven't already. I want to say good morning to Rick NYC JM, who is first in the chat this morning. Errol Townsend, good morning to you, Sir Errol. David Nebar Perset, good morning to you as well. Sonia Hutton, Chris Daly. Who else? Arlene Rowe, Rohan Tadhard, good morning to you. Monica Callum, good morning to you as well. KMC Herman, good morning. Monica Stone, good morning. Nadine Bell, good morning to you. Surprised Ballet, good morning. Hello. And all the others over there. Oh, Carol, good morning to you. All the others over there on YouTube, top of the morning to you as well. Thank you so much for joining us on the YouTube platform. If you are listening from our mobile app, which is available for free on the Google Play and the Apple App Store, good morning to you. And those on our website, top of the morning to you as well. Thank you for making it Nationwide 90 FM. This morning, inside the Consumer Hour, of course it's a Monday, so we have Immigration Mondays, but we're outside again. We are back at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, and we are here for the National Parenting Support Commission's Parenting Sector Meeting. A very important sector that sometimes we don't pay enough attention to. Parents are very critical to the development of children, to develop the development of a society, because they represent the family, you know, and they say most times they say it starts in the home, and that's where the parents are. And so the parents need support, and that's why these meetings and this sector is very important. But of course, later on during Cliff Hughes Online, you will hear much more about that. In the meantime, inside the Consumer Hour, it's Immigration Mondays. And inside Immigration Mondays, if you're new here, we are usually joined by U.S. Immigration Attorney Opal Lee and Canadian Immigration Consultant Nadine Mahabir, who I understand is in studio when I'm outside. So unfortunate.
I know, Miss Nora. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Nadine. Good morning, Opal.
Good morning to our wonderful and loyal listeners and viewers. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
See, here I am thinking I'm going to be surprising Nora, and instead she pulled one on me. Good morning, Miss Lee. And yes, of course, good morning to our wonderful and loyal listeners and viewers.
Yeah, that's the thing with surprises, you know. You never know what's gonna happen. But yeah, unfortunately, I hope you'll be here next week as well. I hope we don't have an outside broadcast, but let's see how it goes.
Yes,
But
yes.
inside Immigration Mondays, we get an update at the beginning of the program on immigration-related matters from the United States and Canada, and then after that, we open the phone lines for you if you have any questions, immigration-related questions, United States or Canada-related, then you can give us a call or leave your question in the YouTube chat. We usually try to get some of those questions in as well. So I'm going to go into the updates. Going to start with you, Nadine, and then Opal.
Thanks, Nora. Nora, I know Opal has a lot, so I'll try to make it really quick. As you know, last year, the immigration minister made a lot of changes to the student visa / postgrad work permit process and criterions and requirements. Now, prior to 2024, I'm going to say last year, because as we know, there was a whole lot of stuff happening last year.
Right.
One of the new criterions that was added, so when you come to Canada and study as an international student, depending on the college or university that you study at and your field of study, you're normally allowed to apply for what is called a postgrad work permit once you've completed your studies.
Right.
So, of course, the college or university needed to qualify for the postgrad work permit. Then the immigration minister threw in another mix and said, okay, now your field of study also needs to qualify for a postgrad work permit. Last week, another change was made where they removed some of the fields that qualified and added others. So for anyone who is applying for a postgrad work permit, please ensure that you look at the details. And of course, if you're planning to study in Canada, you need to ensure as well that the field of study that you're applying to right now will qualify for a postgrad work permit later on. Thanks, Nora.
I have a question regarding that, Nadine, just before we move on. For persons, say, for example, when the fields of study were approved for postgrad work permits, you are in, say, for example, the first year of your studies, and now another list is produced and your field of study is off that list. What does that mean for you in the middle of your studies?
No, well, they would be looking at the date which you applied for your student visa.
I see.
So it's going to be based on the date that you applied for your student visa and to see whether or not you meet the criterions as they existed at the time.
Okay. Fair.
But no, great question. Thank you.
And for those who are about to apply, it's important for them to look at that list as it is right now, because that would determine if you would qualify when you are applying right now.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you so much, Nadine. And we're going to jump over to Opal with the update from the United States.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nora. So I know everyone has been talking about this birthright. And if it's on the chopping block, the U.S. birthright. And so it's regarding the 6-3 decision that was just passed out this past Friday, which even though it doesn't basically rule per se on whether or not removing the birthright is constitutional or not, we are not there. But in my humble opinion, I think it's getting closer to President Trump getting his whole wish. I've on my office page, I've actually explained what this means, but in a nutshell, what it means, 6-3, the Supreme Court justices basically stated that it's limiting the power of federal judges to block executive orders nationwide. Right? Meaning, no pun intended with nationwide, but it means that they can't just, a federal judge can't just block, something that the president does or in an executive order that he does. And so what it really means is that the named individuals, because, Nora, only certain individuals had brought this lawsuit. And so when they brought this lawsuit, the federal judge had basically blocked and said, you know what, let me block it for everyone nationwide. And the judges say, the Supreme Court is saying, wait up, hold up. This injunction should only be for the named people themselves and should not extend to the non-named individuals. So what we will see here, and I think, my colleagues are on this, is that now everybody who is having a child, especially 30 days after January 20th, they're now going to have to bring their own lawsuit, individually lawsuit, in order to so that their child can be declared a U.S. citizen. This is going to be such a clog on the court system, or maybe what they'll have to do is a class action. So that's really essentially what it has done. And so it has now limited the power of federal judges to basically check and balance the presidential executive order. Just real quick before we go, is that this is a warning though, because even though the Republicans are declaring this a win, if the tables are turned, remember, guess what? The Democrats can get to do the same thing. So if a table is turned, now we have a Democratic president, they're basically setting the trend right here that they too will not be be balancing or check and balancing the presidential executive orders. I know we have to go for a break, so we can clarify more if we want to afterwards.
Yes. We're going to take the break, and when we come back, I'm going to allow you to just wrap up that point there. When we come back from the break, yes, we will continue.
Decorate and redecorate your space with water-resistant, colorful, and fast-drying paints from Edgechem Paints. The time by Edgechem Paints, changing lives 1 gallon at a time, is
9:16.
You want to win? Then just bet. Bet on the game, no stress, no sweat. And win big in the Wanna Bet Just Bet promotion. Spend $1,500 or more on one Just Bet ticket and complete the entry form at promotions.supremegames.com for your chance to win. Third place gets Beats by Dre. Second place gets an iPhone 15 and AirPods Pro. And first place gets a 65-inch TV and a soundbar. Promotion runs May 16 to July 20, 2025. Grand draw July 25, 2025. Authorized under Section 58 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Good morning. You're back here inside the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Noragay Banton. We are coming to you live from the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, the talk of the town, all the way up at the top. And we're here for the National Parenting Support Commission's Parenting Sector Meeting. Later on during Cliff Hughes Online, much more about that. But in the meantime, we're inside Immigration Mondays, and Opal and Nadine are on, giving us the updates. We said that when we came back, Opal would just pick up with her point. You can go ahead, Opal.
Right. So in a nutshell, even though the recent order sent down by the Supreme Court doesn't basically eliminate birthright, it might be getting close when they ultimately decide this, and I believe they're going to ultimately decide this at the end of the year. So for right now, President Trump, in another 30 days after past Friday, he can go ahead and continue with his executive order to temporarily eliminate birthright for those people who are born in the United States 30 days after January 20th. January 20th is when the executive order, what was passed. And so that means that if you believe that you are affected, and by the way, this is for people who are in the United States on a temporary visa, especially mothers, if you're here on a temporary visiting visa, or if you're undocumented and the father of that child is not a U.S. citizen, then what they're saying is that your child will no longer be a U.S. citizen. And so President Trump can go ahead with this. It's not going to be final until the Supreme Court actually rules on that, maybe the end of this year or closer, or maybe next year. But for now, I believe it's one step closer. It is a victory right now for President Trump, because it means that if you believe you're going to be affected, you're going to have to just bring a lawsuit yourself. Because right now, the only people that are protected right now are those people who actually brought a lawsuit. That's what the 6-3 decision means.
Okay. All right. So, thank you so much, Opal, for that update. We continue to watch the news and credible sources of information where the U.S. is concerned, because the situation develops almost daily or sometimes even hourly. So you have to pay attention to the news, especially if it directly affects your situation. All right. So we are going to now open the phone lines. If you have any immigration related questions, you can give us a call. As long as it concerns the United States or Canada, Opal and Nadine will be sure to assist you. The numbers to call: 876-630-9371, and that goes up to 4. So that's 630-9371, 630-9372, 630-9373, 630-9374, and 618-8255. Those are the numbers to call. And of course, our YouTube chat is open for you. So if you have any questions and you're unable to call, you can go to Nationwide 90 FM Live 2 and ask your questions there. Speaking of YouTube questions, here is one for you. I think this one is for, well, ultimately for Nadine. It says, I'm a naturalized American citizen, but I am thinking about applying to relocate to Canada. Is the process the same as it is for a Jamaican national, especially where it concerns the English language test?
Okay, so if you're good morning. If you're looking at sponsoring yourself, then yes, you would need to look at probably the skilled worker category, unless you have a job offer and you're looking at one of the regional programs. So whether it's a regional program in a province or the provincial nominee programs themselves, most of them do require the English language test, Nora. For the federal programs, yes, you would normally need to do the English proficiency exam.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for that. Here's one for you, Opal. This one says, as a licensed real estate agent exploring opportunities to expand services internationally, is there any immigration pathway or visa option that may be available? And it says it's for the U.S.
All right, so maybe I'm thinking about maybe the investor visa, that which is the E2 visa, for example. But of course, that person, as a licensed professional, only, I don't know if that's only in Jamaica, you'd have to become a licensed professional in the United States, maybe try to start saying that you're going to start a business there and do an investor, but we would have to actually do a consult with this person to explore options.
Okay. All right. Another one here to you, Opal, online. It says, one of my friends overstayed his visa, went back to Jamaica, got married down there to an American. Can he be filed for?
Okay, absolutely. Everyone can be filed for. It's the likelihood of success that is a problem. And so where this person has overstayed, it depends on how long that person has overstayed. For example, if they overstayed their visa by under 6 months, then they could very well go ahead and be filed for, and there should be no bars to no inadmissibility in terms of the overstay itself, because the bar doesn't kick in until you have overstayed for at least 6 months or more. If a person has overstayed 6 months to 1 year, they have a 3-year bar, meaning you can't return to the United States for 3 years. If the person has overstayed their visa by 1 year or more, they have a 10-year bar. So that person would have to file for a waiver to ask for forgiveness for overstaying, and then that spouse can go ahead and then they could be able to, if it's approved, of course, would be able to migrate. Now that is with the understanding that the person hasn't had any other inadmissibility, because not just to overstay, if they had overstayed for less than 6 months, but they were guilty of otherwise violating the conditions of their visiting visa, for example, working on a visiting visa, and the U.S. Embassy finds out, or the USCIS, then that could be another problem where they would need a waiver for that.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Opal. We have a caller on the line, Mr. B. Good morning, Mr. B.
Hi. Yeah, good morning. I called last week, the last caller, and so
Whoa, Mr. B, whoa. Mr. B, the connection is really bad. The connection is bad, and we're not hearing you clearly. What I'm gonna do is ask for Michelle to just, let's see if we can just reconnect with Mr. B so that we can hear him clearly and the questions can be clear. All right, we're gonna move on to the next call and try to reconnect with Mr. B. Julius, good morning.
Good morning to your team. How are you today?
Doing good, Julius.
Okay, long time. But the young lady in the studio, what's her name? Your guest there?
Nadine Mahaber.
Nadine is Miss Nadine. How are you doing?
Good morning, sir. I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm looking, living and learning. But I was suggesting you just run around by Pegasus, man. It's close to where you are. I'm going to have some breakfast with them, get some of the Pegasus fruits. It's really nice.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
That's a good one. But listen now, the U.S. Embassy have their own pricing rate on the U.S. dollar. 165 they're charging for U.S. dollar when you apply for your visa. That's how it works?
Correct. Starting tomorrow, July 1st.
But how them get to do that? 165 for US dollar.
They can. Well, that's this is more a question for the U.S. Embassy.
No, we won't put you in that. Listen, we want you to appeal to all the persons up there with the comments to vote, to make sure the passport up, make sure the documents up, so when they're ready to go back, they don't have a problem. And invite them to come and vote. Everybody who can vote, come and vote. Okay.
All right, Julius. Thank you so much for that. And all right, you should call back Julius when we have someone from the U.S. Embassy on. When we have Ask the Consul, you can call back and ask that question. That's a question better for them. They will be better able to answer the question that you have. Read the rate.
Which day you do that?
Michelle will let you know. All right then. Yeah, man, no problem. All right, so I understand Mr. B is back. Good morning, Mr. B.
Good morning. The connection is bad where I am. Can you hear me any better now?
All right, go ahead. Let's see how best we can get through the call.
So two things I want to talk about. One is that my youngest son is at university studying here in Jamaica. He is an LPR, but he's now back in the U.S. We're thinking of filing for the I-131, I think it's called, for him to return to complete his study, just finished first year. But with what's going on, I'm wondering what's the best advice, because one of his LPR card will expire in 2027, and we've been hearing that it's a 3-year waiting period to get it renewed. So I'm wondering what's the best advice for that for him. The thing is, I want to find out also in terms.
All right, let's see. Hold on, Mr. B. It's very, very difficult to hear you. So let's just get through that first question. Let me see if I understood you clearly. Your son is a legal permanent resident.
Yes.
He is studying in Jamaica. He's a university student in Jamaica.
Hello?
Oh, we lost Mr. B. So, Mr. B, if you can get to where some better reception is and give us a call back, then I hope we can get to answer your question. But we are almost up on the break, so let me just take a question from YouTube and then take the break. This one says, I am a green card holder and I'm living in the US. I went to travel to Canada for 1 month. Will I have any problems returning to the US? I'm just afraid to travel.
Oh, no problem at all. Well, so long as this person doesn't have any criminal record or any other inadmissibility. And so if it's only for 1 month, you're fine.
All right. So you're free to go back to your home. We're up on the break, so we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we will continue taking your calls and hopefully we can reconnect with Mr. B.
Spectrum Insurance Brokers provides quality insurance coverage and risk management services. The time by Spectrum Insurance Brokers Limited, setting the industry standards, is
9:30.
For over 30 years, Chris and Charles has been financing your goals, dreams, creating your great moments. Celebrate the occasion with us. Borrow $1 million, pay less than $25,000 monthly, and get 30% off your processing fees. No guarantor needed. Call 876-920-4189 or WhatsApp 876-838-9028. Conditions apply. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
The National Parenting Support Commission is hosting its annual National Parenting Sector Meeting at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel on June 30 from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Nationwide 90 FM will be live on location during Cliff Views Online from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The meeting aims to identify and map parenting support service providers across the island, identify service gaps and opportunities, and reintroduce the NPSC's accreditation framework that outlines the parenting support standards to which all providers must adhere. Don't miss out on the discussions that could influence policy consideration. That's a live broadcast of the annual National Parenting Sector Meeting at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel on June 30, broadcasting live during Cliff Views Online from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the National Parenting Support Commission. Good morning. You are back here inside the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Noragay Banton. It's Immigration Mondays. We're joined by U.S. Immigration Attorney Opa Lee and the Canadian Immigration Consultant Nadine Mahabir. And we are taking your calls. Just to remind you of the numbers to call: 876-630-9371. That goes up to 4 and 618-8255. Mr. B is back. So let's see if we can try to get through with Mr. B. Mr. B?
Can you hear me all right now?
It's not good. It's not good. But what I was saying...
I think I heard a part of it, Nora. Because he's saying his son is in Jamaica, in the university. As a permanent resident, I've also always said in this program, you're not supposed to be outside the United States for 6 months or more, as you may have been deemed, whenever you're coming back into the United States, your son will technically be reapplying for admission to the United States, which means any reason at all they could use against your son not to let him in. But with that being said, or he will have to, especially if it's 1 year or more, he may be deemed to have abandoned residence. So yes, he needs to file the I-131, which is permission. It's a parole for re-entry, so that he is then permitted after approval to stay outside the United States for 2 years without worrying about, losing his permanent residency. Bear in mind that it does not stop the time for him applying, but your son applying for the U.S. citizenship. So, if it's 5 years before your son is eligible to become a U.S. citizen, he's basically delaying that time, because now he has lost 2 years if he stay outside the United States for 2 years. So he could still apply for the I-131. That doesn't say he has to stay out for 2 years. It just means that even if he stays out for 1 year, 7 months, all that time, he won't have to worry about when he's coming in, Customs and Border Patrol saying that, you've been out, we're going to take away the green card and go ahead and sign the I-407. So it's up to you. If your son just really and truly wants to finish his college outside the United States and does not want to, go ahead and just enter the U.S. and work on his U.S. citizenship towards that, it's up to him. But still, that's the only thing. I mean, I'm not sure what else you want me to say, if I should tell you whether or not to file it or not, but that's really and truly what the I-131 is.
All right. I guess Mr. B is gone. Did I take Roger? Roger, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Top of the morning to all of you, producer, moderator, and guest.
Good morning.
I have a question for the Canadian expert. I'm a U.S. permanent resident. I'm now in Jamaica. Can I travel directly to Canada from Jamaica?
you're a U.S. green card holder, you would need an ETA in order to travel to Canada.
That's the electronic
travel authorization. Correct.
How do you apply for that and what?
You can just go online. You can just do a Google search for the electronic travel authorization, and they ask you a few questions. I believe there's a processing fee, which is minimal.
$7, I think.
Right. Yes. Okay, so it hasn't changed. Yes, it's still $7. Okay, right. So you just go online and apply for it. And normally, if you don't have any issues, I think you should get a response back fairly quickly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're very welcome, sir. You too. Thanks.
All right, Roger. Thank you so much for calling. Here's one question from YouTube for you, Opal. This person says, I lost my passport and the US visa in it expired 3 years ago. Do I still need to report my visa lost when I want to renew it?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, they should have reported their passport lost as well. And so, when they're reapplying for their U.S. visa, they should make a note that their passport was lost and that it was reported, and maybe have a copy of the report when they do go in for that interview.
All right. Another one for you, Opal. When filing the I-130, does my spouse need to do the I-130A?
Correct, which is a supplement to the I-130. The spouse will have to file it. If the spouse is outside the United States, though, they don't have to sign it. If they're in the United States, it has to be signed. But absolutely, every beneficiary in a spousal petition has to file the I-130A.
Okay. Here's one for you, Nadine, from our YouTube platform. It says, my friend has a Canadian visiting visa. She went up last year and came back to Jamaica in February and wants to go back for a family birthday. Can she travel, or can the person travel for September?
Nora, did it state how long she stayed on the last trip?
It just said last year and came back February, so I am going to assume if she went in December, she was away for at least 2 months.
I'm supposed to do the math here, right, Nora? I'm not going to assume anything.
I wouldn't want to assume either, but we can say for at least 2 months the person was gone.
It depends on the reason why she stayed for so long the last trip, Nora. Again, as Opal always says, as we always say, is why are you visiting for such a long time? Because if you have a job in your home country, normally you're not getting over 2 months vacation at a time.
And actually the person did clarify in the comments, the person spent 4 months in Canada.
Okay, why did you spend 4 months? Do you have a family member there that was ill that you were assisting? Do you have a parent or somebody like that? Or a sister who maybe gave birth and you were assisting? But again, it really depends on the reason. Be prepared to possibly answer questions when you land. That is all. Yes, you can travel, but be prepared. If the officer asks you all of these questions, you need to be able to justify why you were in the country for so long.
All right. Thank you.
And Nora, sorry, just to add on to that, remember officers do check your phones as well, so they will be checking your communications.
Yes,
they can do that.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of phones, Opal did say it last week, but after that, the reports started to come out, and it caused a frenzy on social media where the U.S. Embassy is asking you to make your social media accounts public, so that they can see what it is that you're posting. So all of those persons who are, strong political speakers, just be careful. Just be careful if you intend to, travel. That's all I'd say. Opal, anything to add?
Well, just said you heard it first right here on Nationwide.
Exactly.
So yes, if they're going to be applying for those visas right now, the embassy's going to tell you to open up, no longer private, public. And we have also stated this before, Nora, we have said be careful what you post. Don't post anything that if anybody could look into your social media, for example, Donald Trump, if he wouldn't like it, don't post it.
That's crazy, though. To think about that is actually crazy. But yeah,
it's factual, right? But it's true. If you don't think he would like it, do not post it.
No, but not even for the US alone. Nora, when you're doing a spousal application, what if an officer goes and check your Facebook profile and you're posting photos with someone else who is not the spouse that you are applying for?
Yeah.
I actually had a client get very upset with me. He's my friend on Facebook and he's posting photos with somebody else. I'm like, I'm not touching your application. You need to find somebody else to help you. And he was very, very upset with me. It's like, it's okay. That's fine. You can get upset.
Yeah. Because you know the system and you know what they're looking for. And if he doesn't think that's a problem, then I guess find somebody who will approve that for you. But yeah, we're gonna try Mr. B one more time. Mr. B, if we're unable to hear you, I'm gonna encourage you to go on over to our YouTube platform and see if you can put the question there. All right, but Mr. B, good morning. One more try for Mr. B. Mr. B, good morning. All right, not hearing Mr. B. Mr. B, if you're hearing me, please try to go over to our YouTube platform and just type your question there. I am absolutely sure we will be better able to assist you that way because we're having a bit of an issue with your connection. Let's get back to the questions on the YouTube platform. This one says, how long can a parent filing for a minor child apply for a visitor's visa meanwhile the filing is going on, or can, let's just say can, because you don't necessarily apply for a certain period of time. So can a parent filing for a minor child apply for a visitor's visa while the filing is going on?
Absolutely. They can, but is it likely to be approved? It's really and truly up to the U.S. Embassy. I remember telling a parent that, I don't think it's likely. And then they went to the embassy and shock of all shock, it was approved, even though that person was definitely on filing. So I will never tell a client it can't, because ultimately it's up to the U.S. Embassy. But just, maybe they believe you and they believe that, what you're saying is true, that even though you're filing for that child, you have no intention of letting that child enter the U.S. and overstay and stay there. So they have to believe that you are candid about it. And I mean, if you have a trustworthy face, and they may give it to you.
A trustworthy face. I wonder what that looks like.
They think that you're filing for your child because the child already has immigrant intent. They know the child intends to live there. You're filing for the child. And now afterwards, going back and filing for a visiting visa, you could say, listen, I know I'm filing, but I want the visiting visa just so the person can visit me in the meanwhile, but I'm going to do the right thing. And I'm going to wait and do the lawful thing, and my child is going to return to Jamaica or the country of origin, and we're going to do the consular process. So don't worry, just give her the visiting visa so she can come to Disney in the meanwhile, or whatever the case is.
All right. So when you're going to the embassy, put on your trustworthy face and hope for the best. Here's another one. Well, here I was thinking we were going to go through the program without getting the question, but alas, it came in the form of a question on YouTube. Is it true that a U.S. citizen can no longer land in Jamaica on a Jamaican passport? Go ahead, Oprah.
Oh my gosh. All right, our Instagram page is so and so. I'm joking, but listen, I basically just because of you, Nora, I did a post about this. Remember, we talked about it. So I did a TikTok video, I did an Instagram, and I actually pinned it. So it's pinned on our Flowjam Instagram page. But real quick, the answer is that's not true. You can land there in Jamaica, even though you're a U.S. citizen. You can, when you're landing in Jamaica, and you're given your passport, you may give them your Jamaican passport or your U.S. passport. But when returning to the U.S., you will have to give them your U.S. passport, obviously. And I'm telling you right now, if you are a U.S. citizen, they cannot, Customs and Border Patrol cannot block you. If you have your U.S. passport there, they can't. They would have to let you in. And if they're going to challenge any of your U.S. citizenship or try to strip you of that, there's a procedure for that. But they have to let you in. And then go ahead and file whatever they have to file in federal court and try to strip you. But they have to let you in.
All right. So there it is again. So for those persons who want to go and watch the video in full, Opal, give your contact information, and then Nadine, and then we go to the break.
Thank you. So Opal Lee, the phone number in Jamaica is 876-854-3599. That's 876-854-3599. In the United States, 954-358-2020. And our Instagram and TikTok, where you may find that video, it's at Flow Jam Legal. That's FLO as in Florida, JAM as in Jamaica, and then legal. So it's Flow Jam Legal. Over to you, Nadine.
Thanks, Opal. For Nadine Mehabir, our contact number in Jamaica, it is 876-754-4391. That's 876-754-4391. In Canada, it is 1-416-249-5885. That's 1-416-249-5885. Our email address is info@cdnintl.com. Over to you, Ms. Nora. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we will continue taking your calls. It's going to be the final leg of the Consumer Hour.
Your prescriptions, get cosmetics and other pharmaceutical items at Mannings Hill Pharmacy, located at 34A Mannings Hill Road, Kingston. Telephone 924-6280. At Mannings Hill Pharmacy, they stock all the hard-to-get medication. The time by Mannings Hill Pharmacy is
9:46.
Who shops at Creative Building Finishes? You, the homeowner who creates luxurious spaces with our floor and wall tiles. The contractor and builder who are convinced that our ceramic tiles are right for the job. The architect and designer who make dreams come true with our wood look and porcelain tiles. Superior customer service, knowledgeable staff, inviting showroom, and you get where this is going, right? Shop 5 Red Hills Road or call 876-929-5553. Get tiles, get Creative Building Finishes.
Forget ordinary, think Liqui-Moly. Get a 15% discount on all Liqui-Moly oils and additives from April 25th to July 30th at all Burt's Auto Parts locations. Buy 4 or more Liqui-Moly engine oils or 4 transmission oils, you get a free LM40 all-purpose cleaner. But hurry up, the offer runs while stocks last and conditions apply. Forget ordinary, think Liqui-Moly. And remember, it hurts if you don't check Burt's.
Good morning. You're back here inside the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Nora Gay Banton. We're taking your calls this morning. The numbers to call 876-630-9371-4 and 618-8255. All right. So give us a call. We are on the final leg. So now is the best time to call if you have a burning question. Now, a question here. I'm not even sure who. Maybe Opal or maybe Nadine, but this is a situation. Someone wants to travel. The ultimate destination is Canada, but they're going to Detroit, and then the person who they're visiting is gonna drive across the border from Canada, pick them up, and take them to the Canadian destination. Is there any problem in doing that?
Okay, so the person is going to be driving from Canada into the U.S. to pick them up.
And take them back to Canada.
Okay, do they have a return ticket to their home country to show when it is they plan to travel? I'm assuming they're traveling back from the U.S., Nora, or from Canada?
Yes,
Okay.
going back to Jamaica from the U.S.
So I would recommend that you walk with your return ticket to show that, yes, you do have intentions to return to your home country.
Okay, and
sorry, Nora, I'm assuming they also have a visitor's visa?
yes, a Canadian visa, yes.
Okay, right. So, it doesn't hurt to walk with, like, if you have, like, your job letter, bank statements and stuff like that, to show that you don't have any intentions of remaining in Canada for longer than the period that you're saying that you want to be there for.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Let's go back to the phone lines. Camille, good morning.
Hi, morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Have a question for the U.S. immigration person. It's a twofold question. A U.S. citizen filing for a parent living in the U.S. and for the spouse of a green card holder filing for someone in Jamaica. What time frame are we looking on?
All right. So if the person is for the first one, which is a U.S. citizen filing for a parent in the U.S., right, maybe within a year, that person can get their green card because that person is doing an adjustment. Now, the person is a green card holder filing for their spouse who is outside the United States, which they can't even do it if the person was inside the United States anyway. But that's looking at least maybe a 3 or 4 year wait.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you for calling, Camille. Sally, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Nora.
Morning.
How are you doing? Yes, I have a question for Paul. Good morning, Mr. Paul. I want to have faith. Living in Jamaica, my son is a U.S. citizen, and he's filing for me. How long does it take? The process started in January.
Wait, so your son is a United States citizen?
Yes, he is.
And you are in Jamaica?
Yes, I am.
All right. So the I-130, which is the first document that he would need to file, would take about a year and a half before it's approved. And then once it's approved, then we have to start the immigrant visa part, which is talking about the National Visa Center. Then ultimately, you get an interview at the U.S. Embassy, depending on how long you guys do the DS-260 process and all that stuff. I would say add another year to it. So I would say maybe 2 years, 2.5 for the total completion.
Oh, wow. Because you had got no receipt from them with a number on it.
Right, so that, when did you file?
On the 12th of January.
Okay, so that's not going to be approved now, maybe until maybe next year, January or a little bit after. And then once the file is approved, once the I-130 is approved, the file is then going to be transferred to the Department of State, to the National Visa Center, where please make sure, you keep monitoring that case after it's been transferred, because there are certain things you're going to have to do, such as your police, get your police certificate, do the affidavit of support. But all of that part then starts after the file is transferred to the visa centers.
Okay, so it's in about next January, right?
I would say it takes about a year and a few months before the I-130 is approved. But that's just for the approval. That doesn't let you get to the U.S. That's just the immigrant petition part. Then you have to start with the immigrant visa part of it.
Yeah. Another question too. What if he died? Because he is a kidney patient. He's in,
oh, no. I'm sorry to hear, about the condition. But let's just hope for the best that he doesn't. But if God forbids, if he dies after the petition is approved, the I-130, then you could apply for maybe if you have another qualified family member to step in place of your son. Let's just hope for the best. Maybe you should do a consultation. Do a consultation with my office, and we can talk about your options, okay?
Okay, I'll come to see you. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, Sally, thank you so much for calling. Mr. B sent us a voice message with his question. I'm going to try my best to accommodate Mr. B. So let's hear Mr. B's question.
Hi,
Yes, morning again. So, Mr. B, I was asking about my son and him being an LPR. What I was saying is that his LPR card expires in 2026.
That's it?
Yes, I was saying my son's LPR card expires in 2027, and I understand that there's a 3-year waiting period in order for it to be renewed. So I was wondering what was Opal's advice in terms of should we, go ahead, let him come back, finish up studies, or, based on all that is happening. Thank you.
Okay, but the thing is that it doesn't, when an I-90, which is when your immigrant is, I should say your green card is renewed, is expired, you file the I-90 within about a couple of weeks, you would have gotten the receipt. And with that receipt, you're able to travel. So I'm not sure I understand the question. It doesn't matter that his green card might take 3 years. And as a matter of fact, it may not even take 3 years. But the fact is, once you file the I-90, you get a receipt, maybe within about a couple of weeks to a month, and the person is able to still travel. So even if it takes 1 year, 2 years, 3 years before they get the replacement green card, they're still a lawful permanent resident. They can still travel. They can still work in the United States.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Opal. And that's where we're going to have to leave it for the questions and calls this morning. We are going to wrap up now. I'm going to allow you ladies to give your contact information before we go. Nadine and then Opal, and then we wrap up.
Thanks, Nora. For Nadine Mehabir, our contact number in Jamaica, it is 876-754-4391. That's 876-754-4391. In Canada, it is 1-416-249-5885. That's 1-416-249-5885. Our email address is info@cdnintl.com. And a very happy Canada Day to all those celebrating tomorrow. It is a holiday in Canada. And over to you, Miss Opal. Thank you, Nora.
Thank you, Nadine. So for Opal Lee, the phone number in Jamaica is 876-854-3599. That's 876-854-3599. In the United States, it is 954-358-2020. That's 954-358-2020. You may also find us on Instagram and TikTok. Our handle is at FlowJamLegal, which is FlowJamLegal. So FlowJamLegal. And of course, our website is also the same, www.flowjamlegal.com. Have a very good and productive week, everyone.
Thank you so much, Opal and Nadine. You do enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your week. See you next week, Monday, when we do it all over again. That was Immigration Mondays and the Consumer Hour. We are now going to make way for Cliff Hughes Online. Coming to you live from the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. We're here for the National Parenting Support Commission's Parenting Sector Meeting.
That was the Consumer Hour.
Data privacy is getting critical.
Tune in to Cliff Hughes Online from 10